In your first speech, you made an interesting suggestion about refugees and about the idea of, well, if you're that big a fan of them, maybe they should be billeted to your house.
Exactly. The theme of the speech was largely put your money where your mouth is. I want to appeal to people who care about refugees. Yeah, we can actually do it without annoying your neighbour who probably doesn't want a bar of refugees. We've got to work on some way of getting unity in this country. There's a lot of polarisation and a lot of fighting and yelling at each other or not even talking to each other. I reckon if we had people who cared about refugees, housing, funding for as long as necessary, refugee intake, then the people who don't like refugees would have less to complain about because they wouldn't be sucking up so much of the taxpayer dollars. And the people who care about refugees could bring in more refugees if they're going to cover the costs. I was just in Senate estimates and quizzing the public servants about this sort of thing, and there's a program that sort of does this. It's only just started. It could be expanded, and it could soak up our current refugee intake so that more and more of our refugee intake is funded by the people who are concerned about refugees. I reckon that would build more support in the community for the refugee program. We could be a considerate, a generous country without creating so much division.
So is the idea that this is over and above the current allocation of funds, or this is in replacement of the current system?
Well, I think it should not be additional funds. We currently have basically two pools of refugee intake, one where the taxpayer pays everything and it's very expensive, and this small little pilot program where we try to get concerned Australians to pay as much as possible of the refugees' costs. And over time, I reckon we should shift the balance so that at least half of the refugee intake involves refugees being billeted in people's houses and paid for, and their living expenses paid for in the houses of people who are concerned about it. So I reckon over time that could even allow a more generous refugee intake because people would realise it's not on their dime.